Democrats scored a victory yesterday in a state Senate race in Iowa that the party hopes is a positive sign heading into next year's midterm elections. Caitlin Dray beat her Republican challenger Christopher Prosch by 10 points in a district that Democrats hadn't won in 15 years. Joining us to discuss the national implications, Jared Gans, campaign reporter here at The Hill. Hey, Jared. So why should we care about an Iowa state Senate race in August of 2025?
Absolutely. So this is a very small district in Iowa. There were fewer than 10,000 votes cast, but there are a few important takeaways from this. One of them, this is one of the only elections that's happening right now. So in terms of the Democrat on Republican face-off, this is one of the only data points we have to go off of. Specifically within Iowa, the victory was notable because it broke up a Republican supermajority in the state Senate. So it gives Democrats more leverage in trying to oppose what is a Republican trifecta rule in the state of Iowa. But more broadly, Democrats will be looking at this as a possible sign of building enthusiasm in the party. After the party lost in November against President Trump, they've been looking to reorganize and kind of find new life, and they were able to find it last night in this election that they're hoping could invigorate their voters to want to come out and oppose the Trump administration.
What were the issues that animated this campaign? Was it kind of a nationalized, or was it more focused on things happening in Iowa specifically?
Right, so we tend to see in these types of races a bit of a mix of local and national issues. National issues get localized, local issues get nationalized. And we saw the candidates talking about both of these. For Caitlin Dray, we saw her really leaning into a message about affordability. And this has been a message Democrats have been trying to tap into, especially since President Trump came back to office. Inflation has dropped somewhat, but is still considerably higher than many voters want. And they're expressing frustration with how the administration is handling it. Democrats are looking to take advantage of that. On the Republican side, Christopher Prosch, he leaned into some of the points that worked well for President Trump and the Republicans in 2024. He talked about securing the border. He talked about lowering taxes. He talked about abortion and protecting the right to life. And so we saw a bit of a mix come into play here. So definitely local and national factors were in voters' minds as they're going into the booth.
Is that to say that the Democrat in the race maybe shied away from making it about President Trump?
Absolutely. So this has been an effective tactic we've seen for Democrats in somewhat more difficult territories. This was a district that voted for President Trump in November, so the Democrats definitely had a bit of an uphill battle. But we've seen this, that when they talk about affordability, talk about issues that really cater directly to the individual voter, they found some success even in territory that is a bit more difficult for them to succeed in historically.
This isn't the first win for Democrats in one of these special elections. Tell us about the other Iowa race and why that, too, is seen as important.
Absolutely. So earlier this year, in January, just shortly after President Trump came back into office, there was another Iowa State Senate special election to fill a vacancy. And that was a district that was actually even more conservative leaning than the district that we saw last night. And what happened is the Democrat was able to pull off a win by a few points. And that has been the first of what's been a few Democratic overperformances in these types of low turnout special elections throughout the year, that the Democratic base can be very energized. Democrats tend to do very well with the voters who are most likely to turn out in these types of smaller races, who vote and follow every single development. And we've seen that on display from January up through now.
Yeah, you mentioned the Democratic Party is becoming kind of the party of highly educated voters, high information voters, and many have speculated that they will overperform in the midterms and underperform in presidential election years. But we've also seen this string of bad news for Democrats. Polls show the brand is unpopular, voter registration lags behind Republicans, fundraising numbers are down. Seems like there's going to be two competing narratives coming into shape next year.
Absolutely, and we'll have to see a bit as to which factor wins out. There are absolutely reasons for hope and reasons for concern for Democrats and Republicans right now for thinking about elections that are larger for later this year and thinking about the midterms. Democrats have tended to do very well in these special elections, but whether or not it can actually be taken as indicative of what's to come in the midterms is debatable. Democrats did very well in special elections in 2017 and 2018 ahead of a blue wave in those midterms, but Democrats also did well in special elections in 2023 and 2024, only for them to lose to President Trump in November. Republicans, their fundraising is strong. Their party brand is at least somewhat better than Democrats are right now, so they have reasons for hope. That said, President Trump's approval ratings are not too strong, and Democrats are looking to take advantage of that.
Interesting, and this is kind of just an appetizer. We'll be watching for some gubernatorial races in Virginia and also in New Jersey later this year to give us a better idea about how the parties are faring under the second Trump turn. And we'd definitely love to check back in with you. Jared Gans, thanks so much for your time.
Absolutely.